In life, the choices we make today echoes into the future, shaping not only our destiny, but the lives of those we love. The secrets we hide can sometimes result in devastating consequences. No matter how far we run from our pasts, it always finds its way back, often with a force we cannot control. The pursuit of a perfect life built on lies can only lead to heartbreak, as the weight of hidden sins become too great to bear. Let us remember, the journey to redemption begins with the truth. Nothing concealed will remain hidden forever, for all that is buried will one day be revealed. It was a quiet night in a small town when Grace made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. Without looking back, she ran off into the darkness, disappearing into the city with a heart full of guilt, but a mind set on escaping her past. Few years later, Grace built a life for herself in the bustling city. She met James, a kind and ambitious man, and they fell in love. They got married, and Grace vowed to keep her secrets and leave her painful past behind her. They had two daughters, Anna and Sarah, and raised them in a world filled with love, luxury, and opportunities. The girls grew up happy, unaware to their mother's secret that lingered in the shadows. Years passed, and Anna and Sarah blossomed into beautiful young women. They attended the best schools, traveled the world, and shared everything with each other. Except for one thing: Paul. Paul was charming, handsome, and mysterious. Both sisters were in love with him without realizing that the other was in love with the same man. Paul, a skilled Casanova, played both sides, professing his love to each sister in secret. They both found out, and the tension between the sisters grew unbearable. They fought constantly, each accusing the other of stealing Paul's heart. Their once close relationship was now broken. One evening, their mother, Grace, sat them down to talk to them. She had noticed the growing rifts between her daughters and decided to intervene. "You are sisters," Grace pleaded. "No man is worth destroying the bond you share. Please, end this foolishness." After much reflection, Anna decided to step back, allowing Sarah to pursue her relationship with Paul. Sarah was thrilled, and things between her and Paul became more and more serious. But one day, as they lay together, something caught Sarah's attention. Paul had a small, unusual birthmark on his left shoulder. It was identical to the one she had on her own shoulder. She found it strange and mentioned it to Paul, but Paul initially ignored it and said it was just a coincidence. However, after some few days, curiosity got the better of them, and they both decided to ask their parents about the odd similarity. Paul went to his parents first. His parents sat him down and revealed the truth. Years ago, a woman had left him on their doorstep. They had no idea who she was or why she abandoned him, but they had raised him as their own. Shocked and confused, Paul shared this revelation with Sarah. Sarah, equally rattled, went to her mother and told her about the birthmark and what Paul's parents had said. Grace froze, her heart pounding in her chest. "It's nothing," she said quickly, brushing off Sarah's concerns. "It's just a coincidence. Don't think too much about it." But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She and Paul decided to take matters into their own hands. They went for a DNA test, hoping to put their suspicions to rest. The results left them both shattered. They were siblings. Sarah was devastated. The man she loved, her first love, was her brother. She confronted Grace again, But this time, Grace couldn't lie anymore. Trembling with guilt, she confessed everything. The night she had abandoned her son, the years of hiding the truth, the secret she had hoped would never come to light. Paul was furious. He couldn't believe what he had heard. The woman he had unknowingly fallen in love with was his sister, and he had committed the unthinkable. He had even slept with both sisters. His anger toward Grace was overwhelming. "How could you?" he shouted. "How could you leave me like that? And now, this. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Grace wept, but her tears couldn't erase the damage. She had hoped that burying her past would allow her to live a life free of pain, but the truth had caught up with her in the most horrifying way. She had torn her family apart, and now her children were paying the price for her choices. Sarah couldn't look at Paul without feeling disgusted and heartbroken. Anna, too, was shocked when she learned the truth, but she was more devastated by the fact that her family had been living a lie all these years. Paul, unable to cope with the enormity of the situation, distanced himself from everyone. He couldn't forgive Grace, and he couldn't face Sarah. The guilt consumed him, and he felt as though his entire life had been a lie. The sisters, once rivals, now found themselves bound by a shared pain that neither of them could have ever imagined. But it was James, Grace's husband, whose heart broke the most. When he learned of the child she had abandoned, the son she had never told him about, he was filled with disbelief and betrayal. "How could you keep this from me?" he asked, his voice shaking with hurt. Grace tried to explain, but her words fell flat. "I thought it was behind me. I thought I could start all over," she cried. James, once so much in love with the woman he had shared his life with, couldn't see past the betrayal. He had lived a lie for years. He struggled with the fact that Grace had not only abandoned her firstborn, but had kept this enormous part of her life hidden from him. The weight of it all was too much for him to bear. With a heavy heart, James made the hardest decision of his life. "I can't stay in this marriage anymore," he said, his voice breaking. "I loved you, Grace, but I can't forgive this." He filed for divorce, leaving Grace alone to face the consequence of the life she had tried to run away from. Grace was left shattered, watching her family fall apart. She has lost her son once, but now she has lost everything: her husband, her daughters, and the love they once all shared. All because of the secret she had buried, thinking they would never resurface. And as Grace sat alone in the quiet of her once happy home, she realized that the truth, no matter how painful, could never be hidden. What we run from will eventually catch up with us, and the price of keeping secrets is often too great to bear.